Her voice rises like smoke over tiled rooftops. A tram creaks its way down a sun-bleached hill. Below, the Tagus glitters like a promise. And above it all, a fado singer with flowers in her hair, standing on a terrace, watching the city shimmer in sepia. This is the Lisbon we fall in love with, the one we photograph, filter, and fold into memory, a city of longing, of saudade. But the postcard leaves a lot out. Lisbon isn't just about fado and tiles. It's Moors and minarets. It's Jews and expulsions. It's Black lives from the Portuguese Empire's height, and Goans from India whose roots stretch back to the 1500s. And today it's new faces from Bangladesh, Cape Verde, Brazil, and Ukraine. Some welcome, others watched with suspicion. The music is still playing, but the harmony is more complex. In this episode, we discover Lisbon from nostalgic longing to hums with global voices.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Sujata.
Do you dream of hitting the open road?
Of the adventures and eclectic people you run across on the way? Are you waiting for the right moment, the right shot of courage?
I thought that. In 2016, I had a stroke. But then, in 2022, we got married, and now we're traveling the world, enjoying adventure and romance. We all carry a postcard of Lisbon in our minds. Trams and tiles, fado and flowers. But in this quiet square, the postcard begins to unravel. This is the site of the 1506 Massacre, where thousands of Jews were murdered by a Christian mob. After a man questioned a so-called miracle in the nearby church, a frenzy of religious violence broke out. Dominican friars incited the mob. Over 3 days, they hunted and murdered more than 2,000 Jews and new Christians who were forced to convert to Catholicism. Many were burned alive right here. I'm very moved right now. I taught the course and I actually taught this subject. This is part of the second Inquisition, but to me it has real application because it shows that over the centuries anti-Semitism mutates into different forms. Not far away, in another memorial, a testimony of blacks who also lived here. Over here we have a plaque which speaks about the opening of relations between Portugal and black people from Africa. But this is also a place where black people were converted to Christianity before they were sent off in the slave trade to places like Brazil. So it's certainly a land of contradiction because we have slavery, we have Inquisition, we have Massacre, but we also have the Renaissance, an exploration. Lisbon was the crossroads of the Portuguese Empire, and it was vast, stretching from Brazil to West Africa to India and across the Indian Ocean. It brought more than gold and spices. It brought people, merchants, sailors, enslaved laborers, intellectuals, shaping the city's character and complexity. The legacy still lingers. Today, São Domingos Square remains a gathering place for Lisbon's black community. And the Jews. Before 1497, Lisbon had a thriving Jewish quarter. To find it today, you must limp into a quiet corner of Alfama, far from the souvenir shops and selfie spots, to a narrow stone alley called Rua de Judiaria.
So this is the old Jewish neighborhood, well before 1492 and the expulsion. This is a commemoration you can see right over here to the Jewish community that was ancestrally here.
Under King Manuel I, both Jews and Muslims were expelled. The Judiaria was silenced, the homes emptied, his voices erased. But that was not the end of Jewish Lisbon. Centuries later, during World War II, history twisted back on itself. As the Nazis swept across Europe, tens of thousands of Jews fled here to Lisbon. Once a city of Inquisition, Lisbon became a fragile sanctuary again. It's here that a new Jewish story took root. The Ashkenazi synagogue, tucked discreetly in the Lisbon neighborhood, tells the story of these refugees, Jews from Germany and Eastern Europe, distinct from the Sephardic lineage that once flourished in Alfama. Another Sephardic synagogue also graces Lisbon.
But Rua da Judiaria is just one thread in a larger tapestry of postcard-perfect Alfama. Once home to dock workers, fishmongers, and laundresses, it was a working-class world clinging to the cliffs above the Tagus. And it was here that Fado was born, Lisbon's mournful, poetic song of longing and loss. Not from grand stages, but from alleyways and taverns, from voices soaked in love, poverty, and resilience. Today, Alfama still hums with that spirit. Tiled plazas, castle ramparts, and Miradura offer sweeping views over pink rooftops and the river's slow curves. Cafes spill into cobbled lanes, balconies drip with flowers, and every corner feels like it belongs to a living mosaic. High above Alfama, perched in its oldest hills, stands the Castelo de São Jorge, a fortress with medieval bones, but older memories once carved by the Moors. For over 4 centuries, Lisbon, then called Al-Azbuana, was part of the Islamic world. The castle was originally a Moorish citadel, built in the 11th century by the Berber rulers of Badajoz. Even the name Alfama comes from Arabic Alhama, meaning hot springs, and through its winding streets you can see traces of Moorish design. Narrow alleys made for shade, inner courtyards, and whitewashed walls that echo North Africa. In 1147, during the Reconquista, Christian crusaders from northern Europe stormed Lisbon with the help of Portugal's first king, Alfonso Henriques. The siege was long and brutal. Legend says a knight named Martim Muniz found the castle gates ajar. He threw himself into the breach, sacrificing his life to keep the door open for the advancing army. Today, a metro station and square bear his name, but the origins of that name come from blood and conquest. The age of discovery transformed Lisbon into a capital of a growing empire, but it made it the center of the transatlantic slave trade. By 1550, enslaved Africans made up at least 10% of Lisbon's population, working as domestic servants, street vendors, porters, and laborers across the cities. Nowhere is this presence more rooted and more erased than in Madrigoa, once known as Macombo, one of Europe's earliest black urban neighborhoods. So I'm walking right now in Madrigoa, and this neighborhood here used to be a black neighborhood where slaves in the 16th century came. Now there's very much no remnants of this but this was a former place where people used to have amulets and pray and do all sorts of practices of black spirituality. The traces are faint, but still etched in Lisbon's geography. Rua de Paz dos Negros marks the spot where enslaved people once drew water and where, disturbingly, some were buried. Portugal's empire extended far beyond Europe to Goa, on the southwest coast of India. From that world came civil servants, merchants, and intellectuals, many whom settled here in Lisbon. One of Portugal's former prime ministers even had Goan ancestry. They weren't outsiders. Many Goans were already Portuguese citizens, fully integrated in law and language and culture. In 1961, when Goa was annexed by India, Portugal offered its former colonial subjects a choice: come to Portugal and remain Portuguese. Many did. Orlando was one of them. He left Goa in the 1960s to work in Mozambique, and when that country gained independence, he moved to Portugal. Today, he runs the beloved Zauri restaurant and sees himself as fully Portuguese, not Indian.
I came here in 1978 And from 78 till today I'm here. On the 7th of January, I'm going to complete here 47 years.
So you are a Portuguese citizen. You were never an Indian citizen.
No, I'm always Portuguese. My parents, my grandparents, all they are Portuguese.
Goans are a quiet but resilient community in Lisbon, and food tells much of their story. It's not quite Indian, not quite Portuguese, but its own unique blend. Unlike Indian cuisine, pork is part of their recipes. Tell me about Goan food, because Goan, it's very different from, it's very much a cross between Indian and Portuguese food.
That's right.
So tell me about that.
Because the Indian food is only vegetarian mostly, and ours Goan, we eat everything, meat, pork, cow, pork, everything. Because they Hindus, they believe in cow, and they adore cow as a god. Because after the mother, the cow is the god. You know why? Because it gives milk for the children and make them grow up. Muslim and all, they don't eat pork meat.
I tried sorpatel, a dish of pork and spices cooked with vinegar, a Goan adaptation of a Portuguese recipe infused with curry and local heat. And shamusa, like its Indian cousin, the samosa, but crispier, meatier, and unmistakably Goan. Jeff tasted the fish curry, a staple of India's southern coast, bright with coconut and tamarind. But then came babanka, the layered Goan dessert made with ghee and coconut. The technique may have came from Portugal, but the flavor is entirely Goan. There's a lot of things that are brought in, like vinegar, for example. Like vinegar.
Vinegar.
Yeah,
yes.
Vinegar is...
Especially in sorpatel, in balsam, then vindaloo, everything. It gives wine, and vindaloo is called because it goes wine, vini, dalu, then garlic, and vinegar to give taste.
There's a lot of things in India that comes from Portuguese influence.
From Portugal, yeah, especially wine, then oil, olive oil, and different things goes from which are not they import.
It's Christmas time, and like most of the subcontinent, many Goans are Catholic, and we're eating Christmas cake.
Yes, I'm Christian.
Okay, you were
Roman Christian. That's right.
Okay, so how is celebrating? Is there a Goan Catholic church or?
We go to the church at midnight, or sometime nowadays, as it is cold and all, they do at 11, 10:30. They announce. Now this time is 11 o'clock mass at night. I go all the way late so that I can rest other day, sleep a little bit more, and take it. Relax.
But like many long-established communities, Orlando has complicated feelings about the newer immigrants arriving in Portugal.
Because Hindus and all, they come, they have passport like saying Goan, but actually they are not Goan. It is a false passport, false thing they bring. Some of them now they say we are Goan, but it's not true.
So they're going in order to get the Portuguese passport.
In Portugal, they go pay somebody and ask them to give the passport or something. So many are caught.
He worries about those who come without ties to this country or the language, and says some people are taking advantage of the system. It's a concern echoed in Lisbon's media that some undocumented immigrants bring crime or strain the system.
I'm here at the Maxim Muniz Square, which is down the hill from a lot of touristic things like Alfama. And this is the square which is known for a lot of immigrants. So here you'll see a lot of new Chinese, Bangladeshi neighbors, like stores and restaurants and so on. And what's interesting about this place is that there's our cab driver said that there's a lot of illegals here. And so, yes, about a few days ago, there was actually a crackdown. They put all these social media pictures of people being put against the wall and so on and so forth. So they're worried about illegal immigrants, and they're worried about criminality within these areas. Whether it's justified or not is a subject of huge debate.
In the Bairro Alt, far away, another rooftop and another picture-perfect Lisbon scenescape. By day, Bairro Alto is sleepy and quaint, but by night these streets pulse with revelry. However, behind its bohemian charm lies a deeper history tied to Portugal's imperial zenith. In the 16th century, during Lisbon's spice-fueled golden age, this hill was developed as Vila Nova de Andreda, an upscale new quarter for the city's wealthy merchants and nobility. What today is known as Bairro Alto emerged as the richest district of Lisbon, built quite literally on the profits of trade with India, Africa, and Brazil. Lisbon isn't just one story. It's a palimpsest of conquest and return, of sorrow and survival, a postcard you must read twice, once for what is shown, and again for what's been hidden.
The thrill of the road does not end with a stroke. Come and travel with us.
Please subscribe to our channel, Fierce Travel, and ring the bell for more notifications.
So do it.